It's time to wake up. The show is about to start. With lots of stories about Prue and a bit of heart. But when it comes to Joanne, no, you won't find no faults. But if you mess with the bull, you might get the shorts. It's time for Mornin. It's Morning with Bill and Joe. It's time for Mornin. It's gonna be a heck of a show. It's Bill and Joe.
Hello and welcome to Mornin with Bill and Joe. I'm Joe.
Let's get down to brass tacks. Joanne, no middle name given at birth, good heart. Nay, no Sachinsky.
Yeah.
For the millions of people that saw last week's episode, I was doing what will end up being an award-winning report on all things Knoxville. But due to some problematic Wi-Fi, I had to cut it a little short.
Yeah.
And for our poor, long-suffering millions of viewers, what they saw was a travesty that I'm waiting for you to apologize about, wherein Joanne decided to find an 8x10 of one Joanne Cunningham from Happy Days fame.
Joni,
Joanne, whatever. Don't try to get it away from what the dishonest thing that you did. And then use that 8x10. I've been told I look like her. I don't see it. In fact, doing a horrible impression of me, possibly bigoted, pretending to speak like me through the 8x10, and continuing on with the show. And again, I'm waiting for your apology. I'm also a little worried that a lot of people didn't realize there was a difference. Would you like to speak for yourself on that?
I am just as shocked as you.
Well, now I feel bad.
There was an image of Joni Cunningham on the screen. I could have sworn that was still you. The only answer is that hackers somehow infiltrated our recording and
Russians
put that there, because I for sure thought that was you. I mean, AI is getting real crafty these days.
Okay, well, now I got to apologize to you.
Yes, it's a shame that no one else is covering it. I thought it would be a bigger deal.
Well, they're still going over what awards I'm nominated for my Knoxville coverage, so they're probably very busy on that.
That's right. Speaking of, you clearly were able to get out safely.
I was, but you know who wasn't?
Who?
As I told you, I was at almost like a farm, but a really nice one. And on my last day there, which was Tuesday, of course I slept through all of this. My guest house was right next to the chicken coop with a couple goats. And apparently that night, a raccoon went into the chicken coop. Yes, I could tell. Yes, I can see by your reaction. That is the right reaction. I slept through all of this. Frank goes in. One of the chickens was killed. The raccoon just killed the chicken to get to the eggs. And the raccoon didn't really know what to do. So just sort of sat there, was eating the eggs. Frank comes in and deep sixes it with a shovel. The goats are screaming. The chickens are screaming.
Wow.
He goes and then ends up burying the raccoon, which I think is extremely disrespectful.
You missed all of this?
He buried the murderer with the victim.
Wow.
In a shallow grave.
Well, they'll never get eternal rest.
Well, missed all of that. Woke up as if nothing had happened, and he's like, "You really didn't hear any of that?" And
okay, I have a theory.
It was a big adventure.
I have a theory. This is your cover-up story. You framed a defenseless raccoon. You, were on a bender. You weren't close to a McDonald's, but you were like, "I need some chicken nuggets." And you went into that chicken coop and you just went to town. But then you realized, oh, this is just raw chicken. I don't want that. So you left them. And then you were like, ooh, yeah, I'll have some eggs. But then you don't know your own strength. So you ended up just crushing all of them. And you came to and thought, oh no, what have I done? And then you just saw a cute little raccoon just sitting over there, just watching, judging. And you were like, how dare you judge me, raccoon? And you picked him up and you put him in there. And you were like, nice, raccoon, just sit and stay right here. And then that's what happened.
Nice. Well, I actually thought you were going to say that Frank assumed I was the raccoon. But as we've already established, I look more like Joni Cunningham. But that's a good theory, and you do have you have done a lot of research with your horrific amount of true crime that you watch, but we'll never really know, will we?
Yeah, unless, there's Ring doorbell cams everywhere. So perhaps your friend has cameras on the chicken coop. I mean, if I had a chicken coop, I would have cameras there just like to do a live feed just to see what they're up to. But then also, if there is a disturbance, I'd be able to figure out who did it.
The other thing is they don't need Ring doorbell stuff, so they got this huge property, and I'm so far away from their main house that I would just hop the fence if I wanted to run or something. Their neighbors are so goddamn nosy that they immediately saw me hopping their fence, and 3 separate neighbors sent them photos of me saying some weird homeless guy just broke into your property, and sent them. I should have sent you one of those pictures.
You're not in New York City
I was probably
anymore.
too embarrassed. Yeah.
I mean, you can't just hop fences. New York City, you hop a fence, we all look the other way. We're like, I don't want to get involved. But they don't have a lot to do in, the grasslands of Tennessee.
Yes.
Are they grasslands?
Yeah, there's some grass.
There's some grass. Yeah, everyone, that's their entertainment.
That
That is their below deck on Bravo. It's watching the happenings on the street.
I will send you what I sent them after they sent me all these photos of me jumping the fence that their neighbors sent them. I sent them a Saturday Night Live digital short with Andy Samberg and Charlie XCLI. What are the one?
XCX maybe?
Yeah, one of the ones the kids like, and it's very funny. It's called Here I Go or something like that. But it's basically I'm reporting you to the cops, and it's him and his wife as neighbors, and their whole thing is that they report even the most benign things to the cops, and then sit there and eat popcorn watching these perpetrators that may have put trash in a trash can get arrested by the cops. And I told them that this is who you live with.
You couldn't walk around the fence?
No, well, there's a code for the main fence, but this one, it was just easier to hop it. Well, I learned my lesson, I'll tell you that much. And God forbid I try to get into some eggs. You see what happens then.
I also wonder if you didn't just hop the fence, but you also hopped on a trampoline in the neighbor's yard, maybe took a dip in a pool that wasn't yours.
There were a lot of pools. Yeah, but
you're not saying no, so
edit all this out. Well, how are you?
I'm good. It is, now back in New York City, pretty gray and rainy. April showers.
It's horrible.
Suck it. But no, I am good. I am slightly disappointed in the White Lotus season finale. It seems you, Bill, are the only person who enjoyed it.
I did not like the season overall, aside from, of course, Sam Rockwell, who just got better and better, by the way. I thought the finale was really good. Also, the other thing, too, is I came into it late. I'm sure you saw it when it first dropped, as the kids say. And I did not start watching it until almost midnight. I'm a little tie-tie, can't speak for tired. And I was already getting feedback via the World Wide Web that this was a very disappointing closer, so I was expecting nothing. So that might have been part of it.
Oh, okay.
And
your
I was
expectations were low.
Yeah, my expectations were they were already low, and they were even lower. And I was pleasantly surprised, but get into it. You're Debbie Downer. Tell me your less than stellar thoughts on the whole enterprise.
Well, the big thing is always like who's gonna die in this show, because there's generally more than one death that occurs at the end, or at least has been the trend in the first 2 seasons. I'm satisfied with who died, but I sort of wanted more death. Is that weird?
Well, that's why I gave you my raccoon story.
Thank you. They set up each, there's an A plot and a B plot in most things. There's like an A, B, C, D, E plot in White Lotus. There's so many characters who honestly don't really collide. Some of them do, but not all of them. So I found it to be a little bit disjointing throughout the season when they would cut from one to the other to the other. Some characters, every time they would come on the screen, the masseuse lady, I'm like, I don't care about you. I don't care about you.
Turns out she didn't care that much about Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah, right. But they did set up all of these storylines where pretty much anyone could have come to a really shitty end and could have died. So in that sense, they did a good job of setting up for the audience not knowing what was going to happen. And then when it did happen, I feel like they tied some things up very quickly and very neatly. Other things they just left without resolution. Other things you're like, is this a resolution? Specifically with the family, with the Ratcliffes, I think they're called.
His accent got worse and worse, by the way. Did you not hear Australian the entire last episode?
So we now know that Mike White based this family off of Thomas Ravenel, who was a season 1, 2, 3 player on Southern Charm, which is a reality show on Bravo. Someone on TikTok, I don't know if I'll be able to insert it, did a side-by-side. They did clips of the two of them, and they sound exactly the same.
Really?
Mike White also took things that this guy on the reality show said and had the character say it.
This really is just his kinks.
But it's just it was so much of is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? The dad character.
Yes.
Is he going to kill his family? Is he going to kill himself? And they all seem to get off scotch-free. Is that the saying?
I thought it was scot-free, but maybe it's scotch tape-free. Sure.
There's no tape at all. Nothing tore. Nothing broke. You, I guess, get an inkling. I wanted more of the family being like, oh, shit, we have nothing. I wanted a greater realization.
There was none of that, unless I missed it.
Or something. Or I thought, watch, he's going to turn on his phone and he's not going to be indicted. He's not going to get arrested.
Yes.
Watch, the whole problem went away. Because if they're doing a commentary on this type of wealthy family, just not having any real awfulness in their life because they have money and wealth and esteem or whatever, I thought that would have been a really cool way to end it. But no, the whole idea of moving back to the killers and the people dying, he is your father. He is your father. It felt so cheap.
Yes. Talk about backloading that thing up until the last minute. If there were signs of that beforehand, I missed them.
Yeah, me too. And I don't know if they want us to go back and look. But I thought that was it. But then nothing happened from it. It's sort of like, you're related. That's it. That's it.
And actually, come to think of it now, I guess they do look kind of a little bit alike. Grizzled,
not really.
Beard.
I don't know. I did really like the moment between the three friends at dinner. Carrie Coon has a really great monologue where she talks about her friendship. And, the whole season has been about the dynamic of the three. How three friends, when you're two people, you're talking about the other one. How there's resentments and history, and they're all very different in their lives. And Carrie Coon ultimately says to her one friend, you have a beautiful face. To her other friend, you have a beautiful life, and I'm just happy to be sitting here at the table. It's like being around her friends is a reflection of where she is in her life.
That should resonate with me.
I don't know. No, there is something really honest in terms of female dynamics and friendships that I think was represented in those three characters. But again, it's like, did they learn anything? How changed were these people from beginning to end? I don't know.
Well, and also, I hope I'm the only person to notice this. I have not looked into the webosphere to see if I was alone on this. I'm sure since this has been dissected so much that other people did. But I remember at one point when the three friends were about to get all back together again for the last time, what's her name, the actress, goes in to see Leslie Bibb, and she's pretty much spread eagle. And she's got a pillow between her legs. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll come and see you. And you realize that the one that is the religious Christianity-wise of the two friends, she was really the only one that didn't really do anything, quote-unquote, bad. Mm-hmm. And so that was her religion. And then the Buddhist security guard was sitting the exact same way. And he had his hand in front of his crotch right before he was, when he's still practicing Buddhism and wants to leave. And the guy's telling him, no, you're a good man. Please think about it. And of course, he changes everything and shoots Walt Goggins or whatever in the back. And then we see him as like, talk about fast forwarding and not really resolving anything. Then he goes away from his religion, I guess, because he's just all of a sudden now a high-end player with his sunglasses on and driving away with the big wigs because he shot Walt in the back with his gun, defenseless, and they end up together for the rest of their lives as they would talked about. They just didn't think their lives were going to last for only an hour later. But so I noticed that. I felt that there's some symbolism there.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's one of those things where, was it intended symbolism or was it happy accidents? Are we just looking for more meaning in a show that honestly didn't really have much of it?
Poison fruit, Garden of Eden, that kind of thing, or nothing there. I don't know, with the power shake and everything. And also, like, he made a huge leap from thinking about whether or not he's going to kill himself to, I'm just going to Jones down my entire family, aside from my youngest son, because he kind of gave me an idea that he would be okay with no money. So he's going to have to Diet Coke, but I'm just going to kill the rest of my family with the poison shake. And at the last minute, he has some sort of come to God moment, and they almost get poisoned, but not really. Yeah.
I think that, I mean, clearly we're talking about it. We enjoyed it. I know you really enjoyed it. But I think with TV now, there's just so much out there and so much money put into these productions and time that I think viewers expect a lot.
Yep. Oh, yeah. We're spoiled. Much like the North Carolina family.
Also, with shows like Severance, which is airing at the same time and doing so well, there is so much coded and hidden Easter eggy type stuff in that show that you almost need a PhD to really notice all of it.
Well, that makes me not want to see it.
So I think that audiences now are kind of expecting that in everything. And it's not that White Lotus didn't do a good job just being a form of entertainment. I think a lot of viewers, the ones who were dissatisfied, were wanting more of that.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're very, very spoiled, and there's just too much goddamn content. You know how I feel about our boy Sam Rockwell. Oh, and boy, I mean, just him still on the bender, and he wakes up and he goes to the next room, and Sam Rockwell's in this sort of man bikini. What would we call that outfit, Joe? What was I looking at? It was sort of like he was wearing
it was a tank top and tidy
whities. It was, but the overall ensemble was an interesting choice. And he's showing them how to shank a victim. And then more hookers are coming. And he's trying to convince him to stick around. And also he had a point. Hey, you started this with me. It was sort of his fault that he's gone down to this. We see he's become a Buddhist again by the end. But that was fantastic. But, I think the fan favorite still continues to be Parker Posey. Mm-hmm. And I think she was too good because her accent, well, accurate, I guess, just so annoying to me. But what was that one line she had? She's like, it's a disservice to the billions of people that don't have our money if we don't enjoy it. And I know that's exactly the way you would feel if you were a billionaire. Like, it would be a disservice to the rest of the world if you did not thoroughly enjoy all of the billions that you had and lived your life to your fullest.
I mean, the thing that I find more offensive than a billionaire is an unhappy billionaire. How dare you? What do you mean you're depressed? That's
I agree.
Absurd. Yeah. You can afford the best therapist in the fucking world.
It's an offense to the billions of people that aren't like us.
Yeah. I agree.
I did get one thing right. Again, I thought that and I just thought it was the only way to go where it's like the one person no one would suspect, but there really was no reason why she would. I thought it was going to be the daughter that really wants to become a Buddhist. Somehow she ends up with a gun in her hand. She kills him. And I certainly wasn't the only one, but I'm like, yeah, she lasted a day at that. And she made it a night in that monastery. But yeah, at the end, she's just like Parker Posey, and she appreciates the finer things in life. And remember, there were stains on her bunk, and the food wasn't organic. Remember,
Yeah.
she had an issue with that. You know, it's just you can you can only take so much, really.
Yeah, it's the romanticizing the idea of it versus the reality. And to Parker Posey's character's credit, knows her daughter.
Yeah.
It's like if you can do one day and you like it, sure. Sure.
She's hugging. Remember, she's hugging her daughter's crying. She does this to her husband. We got her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that you've said a lot, I'm starting to see a lot of its flaws. Like, really, you got zero satisfaction, or I'm missing the word, of them realizing what their life is now, aside from a vague thing of them looking at like Google News, and you sort of get the idea that they're seeing that their father is now broke now, and then it's seen.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know? There's little satisfaction on that. Yeah, the deaths were not that surprising, I suppose. Actually, I guess they were surprising because I'm like, well, that's too obvious. It can't just end like this. And it did.
Well, Douglas had an idea that I thought was a good one, was that, so in the storyline where the masseuse lady who wants to start her own business, when she went to renegotiate for a higher amount of hush money, and the guy was like, I'll think about it, he thought that he was going to contact those friends of the hotel worker who like robbed from the hotel. He was going to call these thugs and have them kill this woman for less money.
That's better.
You know, because
Also,
in season 2, he hired these gay men to do it.
Right.
So he thought he was going to outsource
That's
it
good.
because from $100,000 to a $5 million counter,
yeah.
I figured he would just be like, cheaper to just get rid of her.
Well, not to mention the fact, I'm sure there's some tax issues with this, but
Yeah.
overall, all of a sudden, $5 million in your Venmo account, you gotta answer some questions with the feds on that. I don't think that this is going to be as easy for her as she thinks. And also, like, you got $5 million, maybe throw a couple shekels by way of the masseuse that you were having sex with.
Yeah.
He got nothing. And it showed, and it was also he just showed the humanity overall because we think that she's this great person. And remember, she isn't even thinking about her spa. Can't I just enjoy being a millionaire for a second? Yes, Mom, you can. And like, no thought of this guy at all.
Yeah.
She just fucks him and leaves him.
So
I guess that was empowering.
It is like a larger commentary on how we change when we have money, the things we'll do to either get or sustain our wealth. But yeah, I want more death. Less commentary, more death. No, speaking of death, Bill.
This is
I'm
going to
so
be a terrible
sorry.
seg. This is going to be
Val Kilmer.
Yes. Well, I sent you our silent movie that Five Fan just killed. Joanne and I mean, I'm sure I'm not telling anything our millions of viewers don't already know. But Joanne and I once made a great scene in Tombstone better by playing the Val Kilmer and the other actor's name escapes me, but he played Johnny Ringo in Tombstone. And Five Fan, Matt Smith, took that and turned it into a silent movie of, the 1910s, 1920s, one of those serial type things, black and white and everything, and it made it 10 times even better. And that was sort of our tribute to Val before he actually was dead. Although he's sort of been on death's door for a while now. But very sad.
whenever these things happen, I'll always look at the various outlets that post about them. And
I
then
thought you were about to
always,
say the bright side. I'm like, no, you don't.
yeah, no, I don't believe in bright sides.
No, that's your religion.
But I learn about these actors that I normally wouldn't have known. I didn't realize that he was sort of known for being difficult to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they covered that a little bit in that documentary that his son
Not
narrated, which I still didn't
considering
see.
it was, sort of funded by the fam and made by Val, not as much as you would think.
Yeah.
I mean, as enough as they were probably going to cover it.
Something
but
else
notoriously difficult, yes.
I didn't realize Variety posted this. A lifelong Christian Scientist, Kilmer was unwilling to confirm his cancer diagnosis when it was revealed by Michael Douglas in 2016.
I don't know about the Michael Douglas bit.
I'm very confused.
It just sounds like Val quietly told him Michael Douglas accidentally said it to the press.
Yeah.
Which is
and,
a very
I
Michael
see.
Douglas thing to do.
Yeah. But I did not know he was a Christian Scientist, so
I mean,
interesting.
the thoughts were sort of that because of that particular strain of Christianity, he avoided regular medication, and this could have been solved a lot easier. And
Yeah,
I think he
perhaps.
finally did do the chemo and stuff like that, but because of the wonders of Christian Scientists, it went from bad to worse very quickly.
He also lived for many years on a ranch in New Mexico, where he continued to own land after selling off most of the ranch. He also painted and helped oversee theater programs for high schoolers to perform Twain and Shakespeare, which I thought was very nice.
He played Mark Twain in a one-man show for a while as well.
Yes, I read that.
He was very obsessed with that.
Bill, if you could play any person in a one-man show, who would it be?
Val Kilmer.
Obviously.
Easy.
Dumb question.
He was, there's some people that loved him. I think everyone at Tombstone pretty much loved him. That was a rarity. But yeah, he notoriously did not get along with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then there was something like, someone was saying like on the very infamous, I strongly urge you to watch it, Joanne. There's a whole documentary about the making of what is believed to be one of the worst movies ever made, The Island of Dr. Moreau. And Val Kilmer was a big problem with that movie as far as the behind the scenes shenanigans are concerned. And this was him at the height of his weirdness. And the main guy, I forget the name of the actor, that was playing the role that was originally supposed to be going to Val Kilmer. At one point, and I guess Val's trying to get into his character or something, like a giant water bug lands on Val's hand as he's talking with the guy. And Val just looks at him and he's like, eats it and just keeps talking with him as if nothing had happened. The guy's like,
No.
That was pretty much par for the course. That was Val the whole time.
Was that in line with the character or
Not
no?
really. I mean, his character is psychotic, I guess. And then he does a really good Marlon and Brando. He's a great mimic, and he does a great Marlon Brando impression. So Marlon Brando gets killed with the littlest man in the world. Marlon Brando found that guy. He's quite literally the littlest man in the world. He plays a genetic freak as is part of the plot line in the movie. Marlon Brando makes him a mini-me, which they lampooned in Austin Powers, and then later on in South Park. Marlon dies halfway through the movie, not in real life, but his character, and Val decides that his character is going to take on Marlon Brando's persona in the camp, and he dresses up like Marlon Brando and does a performance as Marlon Brando. Not the script, but Val just demanded that this is something that he's going to do. It's worth a watch.
Is it though?
Well, you wanted more murder. This is sort of a murder of the senses. But
Well, you know what? Once I've exhausted all of the murder documentaries that are out there,
you have. Yeah, you already have. Yeah.
I will watch. So rest in peace, Val Kilmer.
Yeah, man. I remember also, like, he was selling a lot of his paintings. Shockingly, a lot of them had to do with Tombstone. Huckleberry themed and whatnot, but he was also selling these LA Dodger hats. So picture the normal LA Dodger hat, but instead of just the L and the A, there's a V on it as well. So it says Val rather than just the LA, and he was selling those on his site. In hindsight, I wish I had bought one. I'm sure they're sold out now, but
I mean, I'm sure you could get it on a resale site for like too much money.
well, I don't really want to do that now, do I?
No.
I'm myself, if White Lotus taught me anything, is to live my best life, and I think spending the kind of money on a hat is too much. But so yeah, he was doing that. But he was an original.
Poor guy.
Very almost sounded human, Joe. Very good on you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I have some housekeeping of some fun things Five Fan has given us that we've just never gotten to. One of them being, we had a Joanne's Dream Journal. Very briefly, I dreamed that when Joanne and Douglas were in New Orleans, that for some reason they were going to a themed party, and the theme being Star Wars. And again, this is something I dreamed. And they both went as Jedis for this party. And they both went on a Zoom camera. And I guess to make me jealous that they were at this party, they had their own homemade but very movie realistic lightsabers. Mm-hmm. And they were just sort of waving around and looking at me. It was very eerie. And it's always even more eerie when Five Fan turns my dreams into reality. I think I sent it in your thing. We still get to show it. But it is, here we go. It's an image of Douglas and Joanne as Jedis and rub it in my face.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to do that costume, I would try to make the most realistic looking lightsaber possible.
That was very accurate. And then the only other thing, I knew it would, you would think it was so obnoxious. I did some more truck hopping this weekend. Oh, and yeah. I went in between a rig. This was amazing. I've never done this before. So it was a truck pulling a smaller rig. And while they were at a stop sign, and it was night. Kids, you got to do it at night. You're sticking out like a sore truck hopper thumb if you do it at daytime. You got to do it at night. I get in between the rig and the truck, and we got into some speed. Man, I hit many a block in between this rig. Scared shitless, but that is the only time I feel alive. Very scary, but I was able to actually take video of me doing it because I was able to sit in between these two things rather than usually just utilizing both my hands and holding up for dear life. And you're really proud of me, I could tell.
Now, I gotta know, how do you get on and off?
Well, stoplight. And you gotta time it so you're not sitting at the stoplight for too long. And the cars around you are like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? And signal to the truck driver to not go, which may or may not have happened to me before. So you got to time the light like 2 seconds before it goes green. And so you just nestle yourself in between there, and then off you go. And it's an adventure. Man, I almost wonder, too, is it illegal? I bet there is not a specific law against this for no other reason than garbage truck workers. If there was a law, they're breaking it every morning.
There's for sure a law. I'm going to find it. And if I find it, I'll insert it here. And please, all of you, report Bill Schultz. Speaking of men being dummies.
Hey, come on.
I called you a man.
Okay, thanks. All right, I'll take it.
This is very funny. Where is this from? The New York Post. 1 in 50 men believe they can outrun a champion racehorse, a new survey reveals.
This did not surprise me.
Now, to be fair, I do think this survey was done in England.
Yes, I did see that.
So I have a feeling it would be more American men who thought they could.
Oh, really? I don't know. The Brits got some hubris in them for his tiny...
Yeah, but they've grown up with these racehorses. They should know the reality of them. Another animal that they think they could outpace includes crocodiles, 27%, and elephants.
Okay, I can kind of see that. The crocodiles got little hands, little feet. Yeah, I know they're fast, but still,
But how do you think they attack people? We too slow.
Well, but in the water, all bets are off. But on land, I almost feel like I can outrun a crocodile. I'm going to go out on them and say that.
It probably depends on the terrain. Yeah. Women more likely to admit they'd lose a race to a non-human creature than men. This research was commissioned by freebets.com ahead of the Grand National.
So much better to pay for bets, guys.
Yes,
I am all for free bets.
Yeah. I guess the Grand National is a horse race that happens. Who knows?
Of course.
People maybe overestimate themselves, says a spokesperson for Free Bets. It's interesting to see so many men reckon They've got it in them to outsprint a horse. So the fastest horse ever recorded managed a speed of more than 40 miles per hour. Now, it's worth remembering that Usain Bolt's fastest ever speed was 27.78 miles per hour.
That's
that alone is
That's
insane.
phenomenal.
They also asked about other like feats of strength and things. Men are more likely to believe they could beat an animal in a feat of strength than women. 18% would back themselves in arm wrestling to beat a chimpanzee.
All of the animals you've already referenced, the one that I fear the most, of course, is the chimpanzee.
Yeah, I just think it would rip my face off. Is it the chimpanzee that's done that? Yeah.
Yes, and if you're a guy, your balls. That's how they do it. They first go for the face, and then they rip off your balls. I don't know why anyone even gets near those monsters.
Well, yeah, because also balls aside, I'm still thinking about the face. You're arm
Let's get
wrestling
back to the balls.
with one arm. This chimp has another hand that it could just get at you.
Well, they know what they're doing. I mean, first go after the eyes, which they eat. And then, if the job ain't already fully done there, well, then you got the balls.
Waste not, want not. 15 animals Brits reckon they could beat in a 100-meter race. Crocodile, elephant, hippopotamus.
Elephant, no way.
Rabbit, goat, house cat, swarm of bees.
Oh, I don't like bees.
Mongoose, kangaroo, cheetah, ostrich. They're fast.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Fox, deer, zebra or zebra, and horse.
Not an horse.
Bill, what animal do you think you could realistically beat? You are a runner. You have some experience running from, I don't know, your
Knoxville neighbors.
Failed dreams. What? Could you beat that raccoon in Tennessee?
No, raccoons are awful, awful creatures. I would put them in the same category as chimps. A slow loris. The name. Come on. So I could beat you.
Yeah. I think in terms of animals, there are some dogs that I could beat. Tiny little French bulldogs. They don't have a very good breathing system. They would get winded.
Maybe you could beat them in distance. If you were doing a 5K with a little French bulldog, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
but no, 400. Yeah, I think you're toast. But I really want to see it now. Now all I can think about is you in like a proper track uniform and the French bulldog and a cute little one, and we're just timing it and seeing who's gonna win.
Yeah, I would feel really embarrassed if I didn't.
That's why I want to watch it. Oh God. That's
so
my White Lotus.
There you have it, folks. You in fact can't beat a racehorse; they run too fast.
I got a SAG hag for you.
Sure.
Nicole Kidman and Nick Offerman seen Joe, per the headline, thank you, page 6, looking unrecognizable on set.
Which, by the way, biggest piece of clickbait. I clicked on it and looked. I can tell exactly who they are.
Well, I would say more so Nicole Kidman. The big reveal here is that she's a redhead again. I didn't realize that she goes blonde half the time. I think half the time Nicole Kidman is blonde, I'm still seeing red hair.
Yeah, me
in my
too.
mind's eye. But a redheaded Kidman was pictured alongside a very buff, and this is why, of course, I got this, Offerman, while filming the new Apple TV Plus series in Los Angeles on Thursday. Offerman had a few tattoos on display as he bared his seemingly, I would say way buffer arms in a tank top and a pair of black leather pants. The Parks and Rec alum, 54, thank you, page 6 for the age.
I was just going to look up his age, actually, so I'm happy they said it.
Yes, was pictured holding a white tote bag. I don't know why you care about that. The new sighting marks the first time the actress joined fellow stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Elle Fanning on the show's set. The series is based on Ruthie Thorpe. Have you read any of her novels? That's
No.
a she. Her novel of the same name. According to its author or the description, this is a show where the estranged father of, I guess Nicole Kidman is the mom. The estranged father helps his daughter start an OnlyFans account using his advice from pro wrestling. So I don't know if she's doing nudity or pro wrestling moves on this OnlyFans. Though successful, The daughter wonders if internet fame is not without its costs. Kidman, 57, although I feel like she's older than that, is no stranger to red hair. In the 90s, the actress was recognized for her iconic ginger curls. That's the long and the short of it. But Joe, I always go to stories like this because Offerman looks very different, I think, for the fact that he is jacked. And he usually plays a portly fella. And it always just goes back to me thinking that you actors got it good in the sense that a lot of your roles require you to get paid to be awesome. And, if you're playing, like, say, The Color of Money, Tom Cruise has got to learn to be an awesome pool shark. If you're Matt Damon and Jason Bourne, you got to learn how to kick ass while also getting jacked and getting paid for it nonetheless. I know that there is a group, I tried to pitch this story back in the day to multiple men's health, men's fitness type people. There is a group that has made their name teaching those Hollywood actors that have never picked up a basketball to be not only proficient at basketball, but really good. And they do it at a very small amount of time. And they started their company with White Men Can't Jump by teaching Woody Harrelson and, what's the other guy's name? He played Blade. People know what I'm talking about. To get them to be ballers, essentially. And they started a company from there. And they are just the go-to guys to teach any actor how to play basketball. And I'm like, I wanted a workout routine and a training routine from them. And I said, get it for free if I did the article. That didn't happen. But to be an actor and to learn a trade, to get jacked as Offerman a little on the tooth at 54, at that point in your life, always sort of looking like Nick Offerman has, and then all of a sudden having these pythons for arms, that to me just sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It's like the greatest. And you're getting paid for it.
Yeah. I'm definitely the roles where you have to learn a new skill is incredible. Like even Timothée Chalamet talking about his becoming Bob Dylan.
1,000%.
He spent years.
5 years.
Prepping, learning to play these instruments and these songs and whatever. I don't know if he played before. He might have already played guitar, but I mean, to do it at the level that is required.
And harmonica at the same time.
Yeah, to play this real person. That is so great because you're learning something that then you'll know, like you just know how to do, which is awesome.
Ugh.
I think probably the getting in shape sucks a little more just because it's more taxing, I would have to imagine, because it's not just the hours you're spending in the gym, it's the diet, it's the supplements, it's the sleep that's necessary. Like it really is more encompassing. But, for Nick
you're
Offerman,
getting paid to do it.
Exactly. You're getting paid to do it. You're at a time in your life where just with age, you are losing more muscle mass. So any sort of job that encourages you to build it is probably great for your health.
Yes.
And also he hasn't really played that role before. So as an actor, it's stretching you a little bit too, in terms of going out of your comfort zone or seeing what it is you can really accomplish. There's something gratifying about that. So good for him. He looks great.
Yeah.
It's sort of, speaking to another Parks and Rec character, it was like when Chris Pratt first did I guess Jurassic Park was the first film where he had to be really jacked. And I don't know, it's cool to see. Good for them.
Well, now here's a question. Nick Offerman obviously is famously married to Megan Mullally of Will and Grace fame. Now that he has just got this newly jacked physique, divorce?
I do not think divorce, because they have been together for a while and they're both funny. So I don't think they're especially vain people. And I think in Nick Offerman's head, even if he's jacked, he really does consider it for the role. I don't know him. This is an assumption, but no, I think, and also when you're at that age, maybe if he was doing this in his 30s, if they were both in their 30s, then maybe there would be a little bit more of that ego-driven choice. But I think that they're probably pretty settled and confident and happy in their marriage.
The reason I thought of that is because you mentioned Chris Pratt, and I believe that he got divorced after he got jacked. Because he was married to Anna Faris.
He was younger. He was in like his 30s.
No, yeah, you're right. No, that's a good point. But
man, no, but that was a bummer. God, I remember when he left Anna Faris, because I think she is hysterical and he is also funny. And I don't know why. think that funny people should always stay together. I don't know.
If White Lotus has taught us anything, that everyone's terrible and can change on a whim if the money and or personal trainer is right.
Yeah. Bill, if you were to learn any skill or do any transformation for a film, what would you want to learn or do?
My knee jerk would be to go back to the basketball thing because I was always a terrible basketball player, and I would just love to, and my being very late in life, to get that. But I think I would probably want to learn a skill that would also make me money after the role was over with.
100%.
Basketball would not do that. Yeah. So I would want to, and you know what? Neither would learning a guitar and harmonica at the same time, because sure, yeah, I can do that now, but I'm still not a songwriter. I can't carry a tune, you know, all that stuff. Some talent is required. So that neither. I know from your end, you would probably want to learn how to beat a French bulldog in a race, correct?
Yes, but I worry that then that skill, you're getting into circus sort of area. Like you're getting into that playing field where
I thought
you know,
I've
I'm then a
always told you
circus
you'd
act.
be a great carny.
I would, just because I can talk to anybody. I'm slightly weird.
Oh, slightly. Then we can agree on that one. Just omit the slightly part.
No, I think I would want to learn piano. That is one of my biggest regrets.
You weren't going to make any money. Doesn't matter how great of a piano player you would become. I don't see you making money with the piano playing after the roll's done.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Bill. No.
Bill, oh my God. The number of plays now that have people playing music in them. I could then make some money on the side playing at weddings or functions or whatever. Just like being a piano player, I could be a rehearsal assistant playing piano. Like there's so much.
I see you like Woody Allen doing like, you know how you used to have those vanity jazz shows at the Carlisle before
Yes.
certain Me Too things caught up with him? I see you doing something like that.
Yeah,
just
if
like
I
a
ever
one-woman cabaret.
a one-woman
thing.
show would be so much more interesting if I could play an instrument.
Yes. Okay.
And, you know,
Touché.
the ukulele isn't going to cut it. I think I need to learn piano.
But it would be equal parts you playing piano, doing old show tunes, and racing French bulldogs at the cabaret at the Carlisle that you're doing. Like in the middle of the show, you're racing a French bulldog.
Yeah, I should. And, you know, it's a smaller venue. So, you know, I
You'd
think
win.
I could. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a mile. It would just, you just run around the circumference of the stage. You'd beat the bulldog then. You wouldn't even need a trainer.
Yeah. Oh, God. Free training and entertainment.
Now I'm just picturing you finishing up, send in the clowns, just you and your piano. Now, we've got a real treat for you guys. Can we bring Petunia in? Yeah, bring her on the leash. Okay, guys, here's what we're going to do.
And Petunia's dressed as a clown. We have sent in the clowns.
A clown bulldog. Okay, guys. And people are thinking this is going to be part of the act. Like you're going to do a song with
I
Petunia.
really don't want to.
No, you're racing her.
I don't want to deal with PETA. I don't know that I want PETA protesting outside of my one-woman show. I don't know.
No, I'd pay money to see this show. Less for the piano, more for the bulldog. But I'm in.
You would still ask me for a media comp ticket.
Yeah. All right, I wouldn't pay for it, but I would watch it, yes.
All right, Bill, what's going on? What do you have to plug?
If I recall, Joni Cunningham did a great job last week of promoting my my walking tour, so I'll do that. Go on Bowery Boys Walks, guys, for I think I got 2, maybe 3 this April. Here's hoping Entrepreneur still gives me more AI-generated copy to edit. God, I hate my life. Joe, what do you got?
Here's up, More You Joe. This is just a funny thing. I had an audition. I don't want to say too much, but I had to do a South African accent.
Oh, those are hard.
It is so hard, but thankfully I have a dialect coach who I just send her the script and she'll send me back a voice recording just of her reading it in the accent. The best I can describe South African is a combination of British and Australian.
So the guy from North Carolina.
It's like a lot of, instead of eyes, it's oys.
Oys. Huh.
Yeah.
So Joe, can we get a taste?
No, I'm not prepared. Anyways, thank y'all for watching, tuning in, listening. Follow us, subscribe to us. We appreciate you. Have a good one.
Chase the bulldog that is your dream.
Oh, God. Bye.
I'm sure glad that's over.
That's all for this episode of Mornin' with Bill and Joanne.
I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts.
Shut up, Bill.
Subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get podcasts.
Yeah, I wasn't listening either.
Very nice, Joanne. Touché.
For videos of this and other episodes, go to @MorninBillAndJoe on YouTube.
Bill, put the sword down.
Run, Joanne, run! Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We would do it for you. Okay, that's a lie.
I never liked your show.
Sorry, wasn't listening. See ya.